Coming up on Look Today, well, we've got more on the issue of net neutrality and broadband connectivity in our region. Got details. And we got updates on the robotics tournament that's hosted by the Ballston Spa School District. More on that coming up. And the Adirondack Regional Chamber of Commerce will hold anti-sexual harassment training at the Queensbury Hotel later this week. I've got those details. All ahead on Look Today. Welcome everyone, I'm Jay Hood Jackson and this is Look Today. Well, in tonight's program, I sit down with Alex Jones. She's director of First Night Saratoga, and we're joined by John Dorflinger. He's the CEO of Saratoga Film Academy, and they're here to talk about the upcoming First Night celebration that ushers in the new year. Plus, I also sit down with Chuck Vaskanyan, president, founder of the Rockman Record Club, and he's here to talk about the next presentation, which will feature the music of Tom Petty. Plus, we've got your weather for the Tri-North counties, but first, these headline stories. Well, in our lead story, big one, access to broadband has never been more important, especially in rural areas such as Washington County. Now, broadband affects every industry. It can affect manufacturing. Now, as Washington County officials work to keep a strong local workforce, they are looking for funding for broadband connectivity. Now, as of 2014, believe it or not, more than half of Washington County's population did not have access. Well, Governor Cuomo has since launched a statewide campaign. It's called Broadband for All, and the campaign will ensure that by the end of 2018, all New Yorkers have access. Well, we spoke to Laura Oswald. She's director of Washington County Economic Development.
Broadband affects every industry out there, from farming to retail to high-tech companies, etc. Economic bases are no longer able to widely grow without access to broadband. That connectivity is no longer a would like to have. It's an essential component of doing business in any sector.
Now, tomorrow, the FCC will vote on whether or not it will repeal what's known as net neutrality. Now, what net neutrality means is it currently ensures that all internet content is distributed and treated equally. Now, this regulation is extremely important for growing small businesses, competition, and communities. However, proponents of repealing this regulation argue that deregulation will help the marketplace. Tell me we haven't heard that before. Now, we spoke to Saratoga Springs Finance Commissioner Michelle Madigan about this.
I would say the reverse. I mean, maintaining net neutrality is good for the marketplace. It's good for innovation. It's good for entrepreneurship, small businesses and residents. I think once you start shutting down access to the internet and charging for it, you're going to end up with one or two dominant internet service providers. I mean, we have that issue here where we just have one, and we are already trying to open up competition. But at least at our level, it's sort of regulated a little bit by the state. The city plays into franchise agreements. What Chairman Pai is looking to do is take that regulation away from local government and states.
Now, Chairman Pai, the person she's referring to, is the head of the FCC, appointed by this administration. You can go to fcc.org and you will be connected to Elise Stefanik's office. Please get your voice heard on this. As you can tell from the stories we're doing, net neutrality is very important for the growth of our region. In other news, well, in light of recent national news, the Adirondack Regional Chamber of Commerce is offering the local business community anti-sexual harassment training. Now, it's happening on Friday at the Queensbury Hotel in Glens Falls. Part of the training will include prevention and ways of responding to workforce harassment. Now, we're going to attend this conference, and on Friday, we'll have coverage for you at that time. All right, switching from news to weather. Tell me it isn't frigid out there. Temperatures are only in the teens. Well, let's see how the rest of the week is shaping up. For a more detailed look at our weather, let's head to the Glens Falls Weather Center for a look at your first forecast.
Thank you, Jesse. I'm meteorologist Clarence Sponsor with your first look weather update here on Look TV. National Outlook shows low pressure impacting parts of the Great Lakes. It's going to provide some snow across that area. Then it will eventually make its way into our area as we head towards the Thursday time frame into Friday as well. Lows tonight, very cold. 6 in Burlington and Bangor, 8 in Albany, 23 in New York City. We'll cool down to 10 in Clifton Park, 6 in Edinburgh, 11 in Fort Edward, 9 in Whitehall and Greenwich. So you see the pattern. It's going to be a brutally cold night. Make sure you have that extra blanket on your bed and the extra layer as you head outside. 8 in Glens Falls. How about lower single digits towards Johnsburg and Parsville with wind chills likely below 0. And that is associated with that west wind at 10 miles per hour. Skies will thicken. We'll see mostly sunny, 21 for your Thursday daytime high. Wind chill single digits with a very cold start, mid-teens through the 8 a.m. hour. Air temp, we'll see temperatures rising back to the 20s, mid-upper 20s that is, by the time you get to the weekend, and lower to mid-30s by the time you get to early next week. Generally mostly cloudy skies with low temps in the single digits through Friday morning, teens Saturday and Sunday morning, mid-20s finally by the time you get to Monday. So from brutally cold back to average cold will be the trend temperature-wise into early next week. Skies should remain dry. That was your weather update here on Look TV. I'm meteorologist Clarence Sponsor. Now I send it back to you, Jesse.
Thanks very much, Clarence. Okay, back to the news. Well, we got updates. It's a good one. On the Robotics tournament. It's hosted by the Ballston Spa School District. Well, Ballston Spa's 4-H and middle school teams, you ready? They won first and second place respectively and will go on to the semifinals. Now, this year's competition required students to design their own Lego robot that can be programmed to operate independently. And 12th grade students at Ballston Spa High School served as mentors to the younger students. We spoke to Madeline Welch.
So since we have Christmas break, we're preparing and making a schedule. I'm making the schedule, and I'm preparing all the sub-team leaders to help them make their schedules and just get everyone organized and the team organized for the long 6 weeks.
Go, Madeline. Students will soon start building new robots for those upcoming semifinals. So we took the opportunity to speak to another student, Joseph Irish.
Build season is very hectic. It's very difficult to manage, especially with the amount of time that we're given. It seems like a lot, 6 weeks, it seems like a lot of time, but it's really not. Especially when you have, despite me giving them that project and they're gaining a little bit of experience, build season is a whole completely different beast. It's entirely different, and it's going to be difficult to have them learn that experience, but I'm sure that, they'll learn as they go on.
Tell me that's not fantastic. Hats off, by the way, to our producer, Andrew Gabriels, who is in the field and just knows how to ask the right questions. All right, up next, I sit down with Alex Jones, director of First Night Saratoga. I'm joined by John Dorflinger. He's the CEO of the Saratoga Film Academy, and they're here. They talk about the upcoming First Night celebration in Saratoga that ushers in the new year. I also sit down with Chuck Voskanian, president and founder of the Rockman Record Club. And he's here to talk about the next presentation at Cafe Lena next Tuesday, which will feature the music of Tom Petty. But first, if you see news happening, you want to share a story idea, how about join us for an interview? Then give us a call on the hotline. The number is 798-8000. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Look Today. My interview with Chuck Voskanian ran long, and I'll be darned, we are not going to cut short an interview that talks about Tom Petty. So I've only got one look out tonight. Please go to fcc.org and find out about net neutrality. About the last thing we need is for the internet to become a big profit center for a few companies. And we're not sure how Elise Stefanik is going to vote on this issue. fcc.org. Get your voices heard. Tonight on Look TV, Saratoga City Council meeting. Don't forget, tune in tomorrow night for the stories that matter to you. Good night, everyone.